We're finally only 4 screws away from removing the alternator, or so I think. So what I did today was to remove the fuel rails. With that, you really need to be careful, especially when you're pulling the rails off of the injectors. You want to make sure that you don't yank it out. You have to provide constant pressure. So what I did is the following. Just imagine the rails are here. I had a pry bar that I was putting some force but not excessive, and I was wiggling the fuel rails out. There are 5 Torx screws per rail, so there's 10 total. And for this exercise and any exercise past the intake manifold, or even before the intake manifold if you can, remove the battery terminals. Just remove them. It's not worth it, because you might create a spark that might cause you to short a fuse or two that is gonna be a few hours to put in to figure out which fuse it is and then replace it if you have it. So remove the batteries, remove the negative terminal of both batteries. On a v10 TDI, there's one battery under the driver's seat. There's another one in the rear compartment, or in the tailgate area. As you can see, we're a pretty oily mess. I did send the intake manifolds for sandblasting to clean them up, but they did not accept my intake and throttle because they didn't want to sandblast them, since they do contain sensors and moving parts, so they didn't want to risk it. They said clean it on your own, which I will do. You can see the glow plugs connectors here. I'm gonna have to put in some sort of a sealant to put it back together. This is how it should look like. This is the only one that survived, actually. The rest were all just left in there. So you can see here what you should be left with technically is only the shiny part that's in the middle, and not that rugged part that's surrounding it. Seems like this one is just loose. Well, this one too, this one too. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing something. This one too. So they should be loose, I guess, unless I broke all 10 of them. Then I would go with the assumption that they should be loose. Yep, all of them are. Each one that I'm grabbing is loose. So anyway, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna order a set of connectors, and I'll do this in a separate job, but for now my goal is to get the car started, so I'll just use some sealant, and I'm gonna transfer this from this alternator into the new one. I'll transfer this and this into the new alternator. The biggest battle I found so far was removing the bolts that hold this little guy into the back here, and you can see how complicated and how close it is to the positive terminal of the alternator. You don't want your battery to be connected at that point, because otherwise you're going to be shorting the system all over the place. So what I did was get a 6mm or a 1/4 inch wrench, the box end. So let me just illustrate it for you. There's the 1/4 inch, and then I got a 5 or 6mm. I believe it was a 6mm. It's this bolt right here. So just to run you, to give you an idea of how close this is, I'm gonna put it in just by one or two threads, just so you'll see the proximity. There you go. Look how close this is. Now if I put in any, I believe it's one of these, if I try to put in anything, it'll just be too close. There you go, you have it here, you can see it. Now if I try to put it here, oh boy, it just won't fit. Here's the thing. So you're playing with fire. You really want to make sure that you got it right on. It's actually, yeah, it is a hex. It is a hex. And I believe it is a 5mm. It's not a 6. Yeah, it's a 5 as far as I can see. All right, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna have to repair a wire. I'll just show you what that wire looks like. Just walk into my other car. Oh boy, where did I put that wire? Interesting. Gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna have to find it. I was pretty sure I had it on hand. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is the connector that leads to the back of the alternator, and I think this is the cause of the failure of the alternator in the first place. Can you see this? They were kind of touching. They were like twisted. It was a weird position that they were in, and I think they were touching at some point, which if they do, these are the ones that connect to the back here. That could cause the regulator to misbehave, and it could significantly shorten the life of the voltage regulator. Anyway, we'll keep going and we'll see how this goes. There's one more, so we're not 4 or 5 bolts, because there's one here that holds the positive cable onto the top of the alternator. All right, we have the new alternator here. It's an original. It's a VW. We got some tandem pump seal, thinking that it might be the issue. I didn't see any leak coming from there. This is the new one, so we'll be putting it on. Okay, keep going.